Well, I'll tell you one thing I'm super proud of that you guys listening to this out there might not know, but I didn't give the kids 4 weeks to prepare for this. I talked to you yesterday. I said we're going to do some stuff on voting. I know you guys are reading some really good stuff right now. What are some of the stats and things you know? And then they started rattling all this stuff off to me on the spot.
Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jackie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world. Okay, guys, welcome back. We just had a pretty fire episode last time. Hopefully the whole world heard it. And we're excited about speaking truth. But today we're going to go into another topic, which is going to be my kids are going to actually share what they've been learning about when people question whether the founders who created the Constitution of this republic we live in called the United States, when they created it, were they Christians? Is it really based on Christian values? Is that actually true, or is that just something somebody makes up today because they're just radical Christian people? Before we do that, though, I got a couple jokes here. Hunter, you ready to tell a joke real quick? Okay, go ahead.
How did the barber win the race?
How did the barber win the race? How did he win it?
He took the shortcut.
He took the shortcut.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, man. Okay, who's got another one?
Okay. What do you call a sad strawberry?
What?
A blueberry. I got one.
Okay, Crissy.
What do you call a dinosaur that is sleeping?
What?
A dino snore.
I got one. How do leaves get from place to place?
How?
Automobiles.
How do trees get on internet?
How?
They log in.
How do you fix a broken pumpkin?
How?
With a pumpkin patch.
Oh my gosh, these are great. Nice job, you guys. Okay, so Crissy, why don't you help guide this? And Druce, I know you have some stuff you want to share too. I don't really have a plan for how this is going to go. Let's just kind of wing it. But tell me some of the key things that you guys have been learning really support historically that our country is founded on biblical principles by Christian people.
Well, I know for a fact that our country is absolutely founded on biblical principles. And even if we go way back to when Christopher Columbus found America, some lies have been told about him that he just had a lust for power and he was greedy and he wanted to find gold in the New World. All right? The reason he actually wanted to go to America was, one, he wanted to discover Asia to share the gospel. He was a strong Christian. The Bible was his foundation. He believed that God wanted him to do his work because he was a great sailor. He had that talent, and so God wanted him to do that for his life work. When Columbus did find America, the only reason he wanted gold was to purchase the taking back of Jerusalem from the Muslims. He believed that Jerusalem should be in the hands of Christians when Jesus comes back. So he wanted to purchase back the Holy Land from the Muslims. So first of all, that is important in itself. What's interesting is that the New World or America wasn't founded upon, really colonized for another 100 years. That's crazy. Normally, a new world that is found is colonized right away. The crazy thing about that is, during that 100-year period, the Reformation happened. So all these different state-established churches had ministers rose up and pointed out the faults, and they moved back to biblical-based principles. So after the Reformation, these people who realized we are being abused for believing what we want to believe, not just believing what the king or the monarch says that they want us to believe. So we're going to go to this new world to establish our own beliefs in our own ways. So the main reason people wanted to go to the new world was to have religious freedom. So a lot of people that came to the new world were strong believers in God and strong Christians. You have a fact, Druce?
And also building on that, in the beginning, the colonists were way against witchcraft. They found 158 people who were doing witchcraft, and they hung 19 of them and punished the other 139 of them, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And
So they weren't putting up with it. That's
yeah,
the point.
they weren't putting up with it.
It's good.
Yeah, and like
It's a little different in today's world, isn't it? Yeah. Today's world, it's like, oh, you want to be identified as a witch? Oh, well, we should accept you.
Yeah.
That's not how it went in the past.
No, not cool. The first founding fathers all openly wrote about Christianity. They all were open about it, and they all went to church and were members of churches.
That's really good. By the way, nice work. You know, Druce is 12. Crissy, you're 14. And I think people forget sometimes how young you guys are when you communicate. And as you know, when we teach you guys how to communicate, and then we give you a lot of chances to communicate, because you got to have some reps, right? Yeah. The way you learn how to communicate is by learning from good communicators and then actually communicating, making some mistakes, being willing to take some constructive criticism. Do you guys know what that means?
Yeah.
That basically means where you're not just being criticized because someone's just putting you down. It's constructive, meaning that either you're being critiqued because we want you to improve, to become the best you can be, right? That's the kind of criticism you always want to invite. You want to welcome.
For sure.
You want to get done and say, what could I have done better? And I told Druce before we started, I'm like, hey, what did I tell you? What did I tell you that we have to be careful of?
We can't keep saying and like in like every other word. We can't do that.
Yeah. Or using lazy words like, that thingy over there.
Or stuff.
Right. And so it's a matter of just having to take the time to actually think through what you're going to say, sometimes while you're saying it.
Right.
Right. And it's a skill set you develop. I want you guys to be amazing communicators. You know why? Because everything that matters requires great communication.
Yeah.
Raising or being married requires it. Right? I should say being successfully married requires it.
Yeah,
I know
for
a lot of people weren't successfully married, right? Being able to raise champion children requires it, et cetera. So, okay, go ahead, Chris.
One thing that I thought was really interesting was that education in America, like schools being founded, things like that, it all started with the motivation that people wanted everybody to read the Bible for themselves and also the law.
Wow.
Why the Bible and the law? Because they knew when people got into political positions, they didn't want anybody to have an excuse to act abominably or against the law. They want everyone to be able to be educated, to be able to read the Bible and the law.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, do you know what, in some of these countries that are like fully government controlled, do you know what they do a lot of times, in particular in like third world countries? You know what they do? They outlaw education.
Oh, wow.
Yep. They don't let people go past, in some countries, don't go past a third grade education ever.
That's crazy.
They don't allow it. Like it's like illegal to do it. You know why?
Wow.
Why do you think they do that?
So that they can't get educated about what they're doing themselves to not give the people control.
Well, when you're not educated, then you need somebody else, don't you?
Yeah.
That is. When you can't take care of you, then somebody else has to be able to take care of you, i.e. government.
Right.
So when somebody has to take care of you because you can't take care of yourself, then they can control you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's what happens. That's what's so interesting about how special the origination of our country was. They were teaching things that make people independent, not dependent. This is one of the reasons why America has been such a prosperous nation for, as many years as it's been around. And now, as people are trying to steal that away from us, when you start censoring information, when you start saying you can't, it's not politically correct to actually read the Bible in a public school. See, that's inhibiting education that actually promotes your liberation, promotes your independence, promotes your prosperity. And so therefore, guess what the agenda is? The more something's being censored or controlled, the more someone is trying to control you.
Right. I mean, in the first schools, all 5 of their texts that they used to study were all biblical based. I mean, one was the New Testament. I mean, another one was the Bible. They had the Psalter and the Primer and the Horn Book. I mean, all of these were based off of biblical standards, so that everybody knew the Bible well.
That's really good.
And it's like in today's world, like when you go to a foreign country and you need a translator to help translate what you're saying. So if you're trying to communicate to somebody or something like that, just imagine like the government is almost like the translator. You're trying to say something, but the government is going to translate it, but it could be completely false. But you don't know because you don't speak that other language. So they can totally remold what you totally said and be offensive, or totally change people's thoughts than what you were trying to communicate.
And building off of what Crissy said, every single school, even the grade schools, they all had Bible as one class. Every single morning they got up at 6 o'clock or something, and always to start off the day they always had the Bible and read the Bible for that always counted as one of their subjects.
That's so
pretty
good.
crazy.
We probably should start doing that as an official subject in our house.
Yeah,
because
cool.
you guys homeschool, and I know you guys read your Bible and you get into it on your own, but we should make it a class.
Yeah, that'd
That's
be great.
really, really smart
Yeah.
for us to do that. So
Another thing I thought was really interesting was that 93%, or 229 out of the first 246 early colleges, were directly Bible-based. And even about 90%, even of the state universities, the ones that technically weren't part of that 93%, still held chapel services. So many of these early colleges were founded on Bible principles, and so many of the leading patriots of the day either graduated from or were presidents of or helped found these colleges, including Harvard, Yale, all these important colleges that have moved away from it now. They all started off super pure. And one person that I thought was really interesting, his name was Reverend Dr. John Witherspoon. He was a signer of the Declaration and a minister. He obviously proving that he was very educated and was circled around the Bible. He was also the president of the College of New Jersey. Nearly 1/5 of the signers of the Declaration, 1/6 of the delegates at the Constitutional Convention, and 1/5 of the members of the first federal Congress that framed the Bill of Rights were his graduates.
wow.
He made that big of an impact, being both educated and being a minister.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Druce?
And also, in the first Continental Congress, on the second day, they were about to, kick off and argue about what was going to happen for presidency and all that. But then they remembered they had to have time to pray and read the scriptures. So that whole entire second day, they prayed for 10 minutes, and then they literally just read the scripture the whole entire day. And so that's what they were based on. They were based on the Bible, and they did that the whole day instead of doing more presidency stuff and all of that. They took a whole day for the Bible.
Wow. So the first Continental Congress, they valued it so high, they spent probably 8 to 12 hours reading scriptures and praying.
Right.
This is how they were getting their hearts and their minds tuned up to actually do important things.
Right.
Wow.
The Bible was such a big part of their time. During the founding era, lots of pamphlets and things were being published. But about 10% of all the pamphlets published during the founding era were sermons. So sermons just being published. There was even more than that being spoken. But 10% were published of all the different pamphlets that were printed at that time. So that was really interesting.
It's amazing.
And the founding fathers, the 56 people the 56 signers of the Declaration had, 29 of the 56 signers of the Declaration had qualifications that would be considered the same as a Bible school degree today. So more than half of them had Bible school degrees.
Wow.
And that just proves how educated these people were in the Bible.
Dang. That's amazing.
It's awesome.
I love that. Is that all of it? You guys got any more? Druce has one more.
The first 13 states you had to have a declaration of faith for you to even be in politics. You could not just like be in politics even if you were like you had to say you were in faith and go to church like every Sunday to be able to be in politics.
Wow, that's awesome. That would change things today, wouldn't it?
For sure. I mean, in the first colonies, you had to have a declaration of faith even to get into America in some of the colonies. Yeah.
Dang. Well, I'll tell you one thing I'm super proud of that you guys listening to this out there might not know, but I didn't give the kids 4 weeks to prepare for this. I talked to you yesterday. I said we're going to do some stuff on voting. I know you guys are reading some really good stuff right now. What are some of the stats and things you know? And then they started rattling all this stuff off to me on the spot without really even doing any extra research. And then today they just kind of packaged it a little bit better. But super proud of you guys. I'm glad you're studying this stuff. Again, for those of you that are out there and you're wondering how we're getting this information, I would highly recommend going to wallbuilders.com. It's David Barton is the name, and he has so many amazing resources, everything from voting, biblical principles behind history, who people really were. It'll really open your eyes. You have to wake up and realize that there has been a lot of misinformation that has been happening for a very long time. And this gets us back to some of the roots and the foundation where we're at. It's like, I don't know if you realize how many nations have only lasted a few hundred years and then they crumbled and the new one had to start again. Okay. We're approaching a few hundred-year mark with the U.S. If we want to maintain to be the most strongest, most powerful, most successful, most prosperous nation out there, one of the keys is we cannot forget how we started. We cannot forget where we came from. We cannot forget what made this country great to begin with. We cannot allow people who have agendas to actually steal it from us. And one of the main ways we do that is by getting out there and voting and also educating others. But of course, educating ourselves. So you guys, whether you know it or not, this is how you create increase in your life. You add so much value to yourself that you have a lot of value to add to others, right? That's how you do it. And that's what you guys are doing right now. And I'm super proud of you. So this is great. Hopefully the people out there really enjoy this. And I'm excited to get out there and vote. We're doing it soon. Pretty soon we're going to have all of us out there voting. And we're expecting to have an overwhelming turnout for people who care about voting for righteousness, voting for biblical values. We don't care about all this stuff that people try to get us to care about, personality, etc. Well, what about this thing in their past? I don't care. I don't need anybody to be the leader of our family. I need them to be the leader of our country. Right. And there's a big difference. So love you guys. Great talks in this episode and the last couple ones. And you guys are the best, as always. Dad. You literally are champion kids in a crazy world. Love you guys.
Love you, Dad.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. See you next time.